Welcome to the Healing Bitch podcast. I'm Jackie Ortez, a psychic medium that has a penchant for all things spiritual. During this time with me, we will explore the world of energy and how it affects us all. Each podcast will address a question submitted from my listeners that I feel I have the authority to answer. So get comfy, throw on your headphones, and let's see what happens. Hey guys, welcome back to the Healing Bitch podcast. If you're watching this on video, you'll notice that I have a new studio, which I absolutely love. I have this beautiful sign that has my logo. I have this gorgeous purple ombre uplighting. I brought my little IKEA lamp in here. I want to know what you think about it. I'm going to post it on my Instagram with a little poll to see if you like this or not. What you can do is go to at the Healing Bitch podcast on Instagram, or you could just shoot me an email because we have a new email address. And the email address is the healing B, like the letter, not the bug, podcast at gmail.com, because Gmail does not allow the word bitch in your email address. So it's the healing bee podcast at gmail.com. And there you can send me comments about the podcast. You can send me suggestions of subjects that you would like to hear about on the podcast and you would like me to cover, or you could just tell me how much you do not enjoy listening to it and continue listening to it and giving me notes like that. You know, any publicity helps people. So I am all for it. But I wanted to do this episode because it's been a bit. It's been a freaking minute since I did a solo episode. And since I did an episode, period, it's been almost 2 months. I moved to Maine, as some of you know. I am not going to lie. I absolutely love it up here. It's almost as if, well, I'm going to say almost, but it definitely is as if I followed my clues from spirit that I needed to move and I needed to come up here, and everything is basically falling into my lap. It's like everything I've had in my head that I wanted to develop, every type of person that I've been wanting to find so far are basically approaching me instead of me having to go out and find them. Now we're just hoping that love also flows through that. So if anyone is listening in Maine and you have a cute man who is successful, or at least as successful as me, in his mid-40s or above, let me know. Again, the email is thehealingbpodcast@gmail.com. I had to throw that in there because I've been going to brunch with this group of women and I really enjoy them. And it's so nice and refreshing to have single friends, which I didn't have in New Jersey. Basically, everyone in New Jersey was married, had a family, had kids, and I love them so much. And I really do miss my friends and my family back home. But it's also so refreshing to have this new group that I can like talk to about dating and talk to about just me and being the version of me that I love to be without somebody knowing me from, before. Because that's the thing. When you get into your spiritual journey, or you just get into any journey and you change, right? There are people that are going to be resistant to that change, and that's okay. That is okay. After time, they will come around. But if they don't, then they're just not meant to be in your life anymore. And it took a few of my friends a while to come around once I started my spiritual journey, because it was so different than it had been, or I had been, for years and years and years. I was this like mean little bitch, which is basically why the podcast is called The Healing Bitch. Well, it's called that because my sister named it, but my explanation of the name is it's not that like I'm a healer, so I'm like healing, comma, bitch. No, like I'm a bitch that's healing myself. That's what the name of the podcast is about. Like, I am healing, I am sharing my journey. And as I share my journey and I share my guidance, I hope that it helps somebody else while they're listening to this. So, while you are changing in life, and whether it's moving like I did, or changing your interests, or letting go of things and just becoming more yourself, be patient with those that are around you because they're going to start to project a little bit um, of what they want, like for you, or how they still think that you are. And that's okay. That's okay. That really has nothing to do with you, but they will eventually come around. I remember, I think a few months ago, my friend was one of my friends was drunk, and she was texting me, and it was the one friend who I've known her since I was 5. So we've known each other a lot, and we don't live close to each other. She lives out in California, and she sent me a drunk. I didn't know she was drunk at the time, but I found out later when I talked to her. She sent me a text and it said, "I'm so sorry that I didn't come around sooner to realizing how much you had changed." And it meant so much to me. And to be fair, when I say I was like a bitch in my former years, like I was like a tyrant in my 20s into like I would say my early 30s, not to everybody, not all the time, but I also didn't realize it. I have been on this journey of healing and changing for about 20 years now. I started when I was 23, and the moment that really I laugh because I still can't believe this happened, but I'm so grateful, and I have no idea who this person is. I do not remember at all, even like his first name. But I was working on a cruise ship and I was 23. And I don't know, I was making fun of some guy I didn't even know him. And I guess I was ripping into him because, hurt people hurt people. And I was very hurt inside then. I was very depressed. I had a lot of anxiety. I had so much anger in me that I just eh, my insides felt like they were on fire almost constantly. So, and this guy pulled me to the side and he's like, "Hey, I got some whiskey in my room. Do you want to go do a shot?" And I'm 23. I don't fucking drink whiskey, but I was like, "Yeah, alcohol, yay. Let's go." So, we went to his room and we did a shot of whiskey. And he turns to me. He goes, "Why are you such a bitch?" And I was stunned. I was like, "What is this guy? What?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "You were so mean to that person outside." And honestly, I had no idea. I thought I was just joking. But lo and behold, what I realized a few years ago was I was using my ability to know things about people before they tell me to like hammer into this guy's insecurities. And I was laughing about it and thinking it was so funny. And I wasn't just doing it with like the three of us, there was a whole group of people and nobody knew me. And from then on, I was kind of known as a bitch, which I'm not thrilled about my past like that, but that's how I got here. So, anyhow, the point is when you change, people won't always recognize that change. I really feel like when you're into something new, people will be like, "Yay, congratulations, whatever." Especially if it's like something public, like what I'm doing with the healing and the podcast and stuff. And I really have so many supportive friends and family. So I do want to make that clear. But in the beginning, when I started Reiki, like, I don't think people were sure about, first of all, what I was doing and what I was getting myself involved with, because the landscape of spirituality in just the last 8.5 years has changed leaps and bounds because of the spiritual war that we're in right now, and the fact that Mother Earth, Gaia, is also upgrading, and Earth is. So some of us are getting more in touch with our spiritual side. We're having experiences. We're realizing that life and the way that we've been living it, the way that we've been taught, is not how we should be living. So there's a lot of stuff that contributed to it. But I started in 2017, and some people thought I was like becoming a Wiccan or a witch. Um, a lot of people thought it was a farce, which I mean, to be fair, some people still do, and that's fine. You don't have to believe in everything everybody else does. That's perfectly fine. But it's so much more accepted now than it was when I first started and understood. There's still a lot of people in the population that don't understand it, but there's so many more now that understand it compared to when I first started. But the point I want to get to is that even though there has been that shift in humanity, right? Where people are understanding the sensitivity to energy and spirit and being guided by spirit, and that there's this like beautiful, like gorgeous extra layer to life that we've never really been taught. Life in general, especially the workplace and a corporate workplace, is not set up for it. And this can cause a little bit of clashing of energies. And what I mean by that is, so I, full disclosure, still work full time. I have a remote job. I work in front of a computer, 8:30 to 5. Sometimes it's a little longer. Some days I start a little earlier. It really just depends. And I think I said this already, but I work from home. And by the end of the day at 5 o'clock, from being in front of a computer for so many hours by myself at home, regardless if I had 5 meetings that day and talked to a bunch of people on the computer that day, or I was just alone doing my work with nobody interrupting, I am so energetically burnt out. My energy feels very, very zapped. And I know that this experience might be something that you guys have been noticing as well. Maybe at the end of the workday, or let's say you're in an office, right? And there's a bunch of people. Do you feel more drained than you used to? Do you feel like you need a break? Are you yawning more? Do you need an extra cup of coffee? Do you need more space, are you finding, from other people? And I want to tell you that this is all normal, but this is an example of how the world is not set up to help us energetically yet. It's not. We're getting there. The world will probably be there when most of us are no longer here. I mean, maybe we'll be reincarnated by then, but I would like my reincarnations to be on another planet, actually. But that's my personal preference, because I feel like I did my time on Earth and it was a little bit of a jail sentence for most of my life. If you feel the same, let me know. I know I'm not alone. I've had this discussion with people, but as our energy and our vibration goes up, you're going to find that everyday tasks, everyday things, even some everyday people that were in your life are no longer in alignment. And I just want to tell you that that's okay. That's perfectly fine. You need to let go in a reasonable time what no longer serves you. Like, okay, so I am working on letting go of my job and releasing my job eventually, right? I would love to release it today, but I also don't want to be homeless. And there is definitely the manifestation part that goes into it, being like, well, if you let go and you trust the universe, then the universe will provide. But we also have to be a little realistic in this life. We also have to make sure that we have the money to survive. We have the means, that we're not going to turn out to be homeless in the middle of trying to make your business grow. So, as much as you might be tempted to kind of like let go of so much that's not serving you, make sure you're also having one foot still in the real world. So that's the first thing. Is it can be very trying to still work a corporate job when you're on this spiritual journey. I know that my coworkers are now used to me talking about spiritual climates and full moons and how they might be feeling, and how like the pressure in my head and the Schumann resonance and all that. So I've warmed them up through the years, but do your best. Have some crystals on your desk. I like to have selenite, I have black tourmaline, and then I have shungite that I also wear. So because shungite helps you with like the energy rays that are zapping your energy that's coming from like the computers, and it helps with the Wi-Fi and everything. That's why a lot of people have like little pieces of it on the back of their cell phone as well. Try not to use Apple earbuds too much. I actually have an experience with somebody that I used to talk to, and they kept getting vertigo over and over and over again for like weeks, and then it would go away, and then they would get it for weeks. And I asked them one day, I said, "How often do you wear your Apple AirPods?" And they said they wear them all day long, just in case they get a phone call. They wear their AirPods all day long. And I truly believe that the Bluetooth in the AirPods affects your brain, especially if you're wearing them for too long. And a full disclosure, I have Apple AirPods too. They were given to me by my company. And sometimes I do really love them on a phone call, but I'm also very aware energetically if it doesn't feel right to have them in. Like when I'm listening to music, I always have some kind of headphones. Like right now with this is plugged in. I always have some kind of headphones that are plugged in to the phone, or I have a speaker that has some device. But you have to really listen to your body with all the electronics that are around us. I know people talk about the 5G and how it's affecting us, and the Wi-Fi and everything. I know my cousin Ray, who's been on the podcast a few times, he did suggest at one point, and this is something that I've thought of doing, putting a timer on the Wi-Fi. So the modem and the router shut off. So you use one of those like lamp plug timers that you plug them into the wall, and then you plug like the lamp into it, or you plug like the router, whatever, into it. And then you can set it for when it shuts off and when it turns on. Like it's a device that a lot of people use when they're on vacation and they want their lights to turn on automatically. So that's something that you can do too. Definitely during the workday, make sure your ass gets outside. I'll clean Amy's litter, my cat's litter, and then I'll make sure that I throw it in the garbage outside, or I'll make sure at least all the windows are open, or I'm reading a book on my break instead of watching TV. Although I will say I do read books on Kindle, but at least it's like the Kindle Paperwhite, so it kind of looks more like a regular book, like, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's not as bad, but I know I should be reading paper books, but they're so freaking expensive. Anyhow, the point of this whole thing was to circle back, corporate speak, to circle back to what the point was that I was trying to make is your life is going to change with your spiritual journey. Your life is going to feel different in good ways and some ways that are uncomfortable. But it's absolutely worth it. No matter what stage you are at your healing journey or your spiritual journey, it's going to change. And also, just a little reminder, have fun in life. Don't get so caught up on the I have to do 8 steps of a spiritual ritual every day, or my spirituality isn't going to be real. I don't have to like wake up and pull cards every day. If you enjoy doing that, yeah, of course, go do it. Have fun if that calls to you, you know? But you don't have to do it. The only thing you have to do is be true to yourself. Be sure that you are paying attention to that inner guidance that you have inside of you. Love yourself and love others. Don't treat people like, now that you have this insight, you know what's wrong with them too, and go ahead and tell them, oh, if you just did A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, your life would be so much better, because not everybody's going to be on the same page as you. All of us that get into the spiritual journey are all guilty of doing that, because we see the behaviors then and we're like, oh, their life could be so much easier if they just stop doing that. But you know what? Maybe they don't want to. Maybe they're not supposed to. Maybe they're supposed to have a little bit more grief and a little bit harder, and they're just not ready. That's okay. But anyhow, I hope this was helpful. I know I went a little bit on a rant, but I am really looking forward to the next phase of this podcast, where we're going to be focusing a bit on just learning about the spiritual world a little bit more of what you can do, because we want to put the power in your hands, man. The only person that has the power for you is you. No outside influences unless you allow them to. So remember that as you go about your day. And I'm going to give you a little challenge this week. I want you to just take note of what you were like in January and what you are like now in June. And I want you to see if you can notice any small changes that you've made. Good, not so good, whatever. Doesn't matter. Anything that is different in your life. And if it's good, I want you to thank yourself for making that change. And then think about, maybe there's another step I can take. And if it doesn't feel good, any change that you have noticed, what can you do to improve that then? What little baby step can you do to improve that? So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you soon.